Bhakti Vaibhav class. So we were discussing from Canto 5 and last week hearing the questions asked by King Rahugana, Maharaj Bharata, of course, Brahmana Bharata is answering now in this chapter 11. So basically, taking the conventional world as a reference, the king is asking questions. Yeah, this is the material world, we are all existing, the world is true and we are all true. We need to deal with various activities, we need to control, punish, being a king, etc. He was asking. And while doing all the activities, we go through different emotions such as happy, miserable, fatigued, tired, etc. etc. How can you deny that? One does not experience any of such things. That was the question. So the answer is that, so my dear king, don't speak on the practical world point of view. Speak from the point of view of liberated personality. So what our Maharaj Rahugana, not Rahugana, Bharat, Bharat Maharaj, otherwise Brahmana Bharata, is saying is that for a person who is aspiring to attain liberation, they should be in this consciousness. Then only they can attain liberation quickly. Because it is as it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam second canto, Akama Sarvakamuva Mokshakamuva Udaradi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Paraha. Tivra Bhakti. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena one should perform Tivra Bhakti. That means with 100% determination, with 100% dedication, with 100% exclusive activity, one should perform. So for a person, how they should deal in this material world? That's what Maharaj Bharata is telling, Brahmana Bharata is telling. On the other hand, in order to live in this world, in order to maintain ourselves in this world, how we should live, that was the context with which the king is asking. So for both of them, there is a difference in the reference point. But in any case, so my dear king, whatever you are speaking, it is the language of Mimamsakas. The Mimamsakas talk about do karma in the best possible way. Because it is karma will give all the results. It is by karma one gets enjoyed or one gets one becomes joyful or one becomes miserable. That is Mimamsakas. But unfortunately, in the assembly of the Mimamsakas, hardly there will be a discussion about Atma Tattva. What is Atma Tattva and how to attain Atma Tattva is very rarely discussed. Of course, it does not come only says. But for those people who are interested in Atma Tattva, who want to attain self-realization, they should go beyond Mimamsa. So, from that point of view, he continues to speak from text number 4 till the end of the chapter. For a person who is interested in attaining Atma Tattva, gaining knowledge, realization, and eventually go attaining liberation, what kind of mindset one should have? Of course, in one sense, what he speaks is Tivra on the highest platform, what one should have. But what King is thinking about is at a normal level, at society level, how one should deal. So in that way, we have to see the distinction. And today we will discuss this theme, how and when one can become ready oneself to understand the true nature of Atma and true nature of Paramatma and also attain liberation. So one should be like this as Brahmana Bharata is going to discuss. Then only one will be able to understand the true nature of Atma and then eventually understand the true nature of absolute truth and attain liberation. Otherwise, one will take a lot of time. Because what one is, that is what one will repeat. If you see, Sukadeva Goswami, the speaker of the Bhagavatam. So he speaks Bhagavatam with Vairagya Pradhana, with Vairagya as the main element. Throughout the Bhagavatam from beginning to end, we see all the devotees are completely detached So the speaker, when he speaks something, so it echoes the personality of the speaker. What kind of personality is he? The same thing comes out. Here, Brahmana Bharata, whom we generally call as Jada Bharata, what kind of lifestyle is leading? So what he speaks will be of like that only. So in that way, we have to see. Otherwise, if you take Bhishma, who is speaking in Mahabharata, because he is a royal order person, he speaks about how to lead life, how to lead a life of a king properly. At the end, by the way, dedicating all these duties as a service to Supreme Lord, one will attain freedom from material existence, etc. Little like gradual process. The speaker's personality reflects in the speech. So it is like that. So we have discussed already up to verse number 5, but just for continuity, we will go from text number 4 onwards. So in the 4, it is said that why is it that generally, even though enlightened by the devotees, all men engage in material happiness? Why? In spite of hearing again and again, we still perform material activities. What is the reason? Reason is as long as the mind is bound by the rajas and tamas, or rajas, sattva, or tamas, even the sattva also. The mind, like an uncontrolled mad elephant, continues to engage that person in dharma and adharma, using the knowledge, senses, and action senses. When we are still controlled by three modes, in sattva guna we perform dharmic activities, in tamoguna we perform adharmic activities, in rajoguna we do dharma and adharma both combined together. That's how we are bound in this material world, because we are taking shelter of three modes. As long as the mind is bound by rajas, sattva, and tamas, the mind, like an uncontrolled mad elephant, engages even a saintly person in dharma or adharma by the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. By force, the mind with its gunas, destroying discrimination, engages one in pious or sinful activities. What fault is there in the human being for this? Okay, you are telling that mind is engaging in all the activities under the supervision of three gunas. Then what fault is the person? What fault is there in the person? Why person has to suffer? Somebody might question like that. So that will be indicated in the next verse. The mind, the chief among the 16 elements, endowed with pious and sinful impressions, because it is performing pious and sinful activities, and every experience, doing the activity and experiencing the results, everything is stored in the mind. So endowed with pious and sinful impressions, Vasana Atma. Mind is called the storehouse of all the Vasanas. It is called Vasana Atma. The mind, the chief among the 16 elements, Shodasha Atma, endowed with pious and sinful impressions, attached to sense objects, agitated by the gunas, transformed by emotions, and supported by different forms. Though through acceptance of different bodies, extends itself higher and lower portions with different names. So basically, by performing pious and sinful activities, the mind stores all the experiences which are transformed into vasanas, as a result of which one takes birth in different species with different names and different forms, lower or higher beings. So it is like that. This is how one's existence in the material world continues. The mind, endowed with the impressions of piety and sin, contaminated with the sense objects, agitated by the three gunas, transformed by the lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, and other emotions. The chief element among the 16, five jnanendriyas, five karmendriyas, five panchamahabhutas, and mind. So like that. Accepting the different forms such as devata, sometimes as animal, sometimes as human being, higher or lower, through bodies, through various different types of bodies, manifests itself with various names and forms. That's how mind takes us to different places. So this is where we stopped in the last week, and today we'll continue from text number 6. So basically, the mind, controlled by three gunas, performs various activities known as dharmic activities and adharmic activities. As a result of that, all these impressions of performing so many activities and experiencing the respective results are stored in the mind and it becomes Vasana Atma. As a result of those activities, one takes birth in different species. Urdhvam gachanti satvasta, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganna gunavrittista, adho gachanti tamasa. So this is the reason for cycle of transmigration. So then what? The mind
Hare Krishna,
creates.
Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said the mind is influenced by the Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva.
Ah,
And that's why it is getting various emotions like lust and greed and pride and all those things where it
yes.
enjoys. Okay. Now, where is the emotions of humility, compassion, all those things are that is also there in the mind only, isn't it? Or it is belongs to the Atma and the mind does not have those qualities.
No, no. The qualities also belong to mind only. But
Okay.
here we are discussing in the bound state. A person who is attracted to enjoy the material world,
Mm.
he develops only this kind of activities.
So in the
A
material
person,
world, you mean to say no, any person who has got compassion or
not, not,
humility.
not any person, especially those people who are only interested in enjoying this world with
Okay.
Bhoga Pravrutti.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Okay.
with Tyaga Pravrutti or Seva Pravrutti. The
Okay.
people who
Mm.
have a renunciation mentality, who have
Mm.
service mentality, will
Mm.
cultivate all those good qualities.
Mm. So they are not under moods then.
Yeah, everyone is in the modes only, but
Huh.
slowly, the modes are gradually getting purified and person is gradually elevated. Then the Tyaga and Seva will increase in that personality. Then all these wonderful Vaishnava qualities, 26 qualities that we talk about,
Mm.
they slowly manifest
Okay.
in that person.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, sattva should increase and tamas should decrease. Then we can see all these good qualities. So that person, we can say that, okay, he has begun the path of perfection. So here in these verses, we are talking about a person who has not begun the path of perfection, who still want to continue in the material world only. That kind of person here we are talking.
Okay, Prabhu.
So that's why he said, na, he is actually, matlab, he also manifests sometimes good qualities because he also has some goodness, na. As a result of which he also sometimes going to Sargaloka, Sattvam, Urdhangachan Sattva. So that is also there. But since this person is not started the path of perfection, so we are not discussing specifically those qualities. So in that way.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Ah,
Prabhuji, whatever you mentioned, that means those people having good qualities, they will be in Sattva Guna. That is why they are, as Mataji said, whatever qualities, humility and compassion and all those. So those in Sattva Guna will be manifesting those qualities, na Prabhuji?
no, no. A person may be in Sattva also. In Sattva also, we can have two category people. One person is still interested in enjoying this world. Other person is not interested in enjoying this world, but instead he is kind of detached and is only service oriented. He want to help others, something like that.
It's the Sakam Karma and Nishkam Karma platform you are saying, right?
Yes.
Perfect. What we are talking is a person in Sakama Karma platform. Those good qualities will manifest in a person in Nishkama platform who has just begun the path of perfection.
Okay, so Sakama Karmi will be also can be in Sattva Guna, but his destination will be different because his aspirations are different, right?
Yeah. Sakama
Yeah.
Karmi is supposed to be in Sakama Karmi means is following the Vedic teachings, but only for the purpose of going to heaven and enjoy better life standard.
Okay. The goal is ultimately the sensual enjoyment. That is.
That's why I said he is still interested in enjoying the material world, either here or in the heaven or in any other species. But a
Okay.
person is little bit developed detachment from enjoyment, he has begun Nishkama Karma Yoga. So he has begun path back to Godhead. So in that way we can see.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm. So thus the mind creates suitable results. The mind creates distress, happiness, and illusion. Happiness in the mode of goodness, distress in the mode of passion, illusion in the mode of ignorance, which are unavoidable. how can something material create anything? So now the question, आप बोल रहे हैं everything is created by mind only, mind creates, mind creates, mind creates. But अब तक हमने सुना था mind तो one of the material elements, one of the 24 material elements only. How can a material element can create some emotion? That question might come. So that is answered in the next verse. Text number 16. दुःखं सुखं व्यतिकृतं च तीव्रं कालोपपन्नं फलमाव्यनक्ति आलिङ्ग्यमाया रचितान्तरात्मा स्वदेहिनं संश्रुति चक्रकूटः. Yeah, someone read the translation.
The materialistic mind, covering the living entity's soul, carries it to different species of life. This is called continued material existence. Due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness. Being thus illusioned, the mind further creates pious and impious activities and their karma, and thus the soul becomes conditioned.
Yeah, here is revealing the secret. How and why and when. The mind, Antaratma. So one may think that Antaratma means Paramatma. No, it is not Antaratma means the mind here. Antakarana in that sense. The mind, the cause of deception in the repetition of birth and death. It is the mind which is deceiving us. As a result of that deception, we are going through constant repetition of birth and death. Perpetual cycle of birth and death we are bound into. Which is the covering on the jiva made by Maya. Maya Rachita. The mind is a covering on the soul, on the Atma. Mind is situated in the core of the heart. It is a covering on the soul, and which is created by Maya. Because mind is a creation of Maya only. It is by Prakriti, by glancing upon Prakriti only. Lord impregnates Maya with Jiva Shakti and Kala Shakti, as a result of which Prakriti gives rise to 24 elements. One among them is mind. And okay, fine. Then what? By embracing the Jiva, the mind, by embracing the Jiva, creates unavoidable distress, happiness, and illusion. Dukkam, Sukham, Vyatikaram, Vyatiriktam, in the course of time. So, what is the how it is happening? By embracing the soul, the mind creates all the emotions. Mind alone does not create any of these emotions. Mind creates all these emotions because it is being a covering created by Maya. It is constantly and very closely embracing the soul. That's why everything is happened. Embracing the jiva, swa dehinam, which is the cause, the mind, a covering on the jiva creates. So the question is, how can something material create anything? So mind is not creating all these things being material, but mind is able to create all these things because it is constantly embracing the soul. That is the reason. Though it is a material element, but since it is closely embracing the jiva, it creates all the emotions. Thus, the mind causes deception in the wheel of rebirth. Sansmriti chakra kutaha. Kuta means deception. It causes deception in the cycle of samsara. Similarly, grama kuta means the village tutor. Some example is given here. So something like that. So how and why mind is able to do all these things? Because it has embraced the soul very tightly, very closely. That's why the mind is able to do everything that it is doing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said the mind is embracing the soul. But does it mean the soul has the qualities of lust, greed, envy, and all? No, no. The soul is Satchit Ananda, right? So then how is the
Perfect.
mind able? Yeah.
I don't know whether you were there during our classes. We were discussing in Puranjana story.
Okay.
So in the beginning, I think the first chapter, that is 25th chapter, while Puranjana was searching for a town to stay here and there, he
Hmm.
came somewhere in Bharatavarsha and he saw a city of 9 gates.
Yeah.
Then one amazing thing happened.
Hmm.
Suddenly, one lady comes out of the city,
Hmm.
being served by 11 maid servants.
Okay. Intelligence.
The Buddhi, actually, we while discussing, we always told that here Buddhi means intelligence and Chetana both combined together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not just alone intelligence, it is a combination of both
Yeah.
Chitta as well as intelligence. So she comes with 11 servants and there is inquiry. Who are you? Who are you? Who is your father? Who is your husband? Everything. Then she said that I am alone and this city belongs to me and I invite you to come and enjoy. I will provide you whatever you want.
Hmm.
I'll take the responsibility of providing you whatever you want.
Hmm.
With the help of my 11 attendants.
Hmm.
The 11 attendants were 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas,
Karmendriyas and mind.
and I suppose mind.
Hmm.
So who is promising whom that I will provide you all the enjoyment?
Intelligence is promising.
No. If you take intelligence, then it is incomplete.
So consciousness, you want to say?
Chitta as well as intelligence both are promising.
Okay.
In the company of the 11 senses.
Okay.
That means who is promising?
Consciousness and
Chitta.
intelligence.
No. Consciousness, intelligence, mind, Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. All of them combined together promising that please come, we'll give you whatever enjoyment you want.
Okay.
Bas ho gaya.
But the consciousness,
soul.
Chitta is where does Chitta? Chitta is of the living entity, isn't it? Now the soul of Puranjan, if you say the soul of Puranjan came inside the city, now he is coming with the Chitta, which is a contaminated consciousness, isn't it?
No,
Or is
no.
consciousness pure that time?
It's the problem. That's the problem.
Huh.
See, Chitta is also one of the 24 elements.
Yeah.
Just the way mind is there, intelligence is there, Ahankara is there, Chitta is also there.
Yeah, yeah.
So when soul comes, he is given a body made up of 24 elements. It is not that soul comes with Chitta and remain 23 are given to it. It is not like that.
Okay.
Even Chitta is given to it. It is Chitta promising here. Chitta is the source of everything. No? Chitta is the source of all the elements.
So the soul's consciousness is not there at all there.
Yeah, I mean this is a debatable issue. I don't want to get into that. But one thing, why Puranjana is looking here and there, going here and there? What was the reason? Where he is searching for a city or what?
Yeah,
what
where he can enjoy.
What it is called in Sanskrit?
It is in Sanskrit called
Anandamayo Abhyasat.
yeah, Anandamayo Abhyasa. Okay.
Soul is only looking for Ananda.
Ananda, yeah, happiness.
And here our 14 elements are promising. The 10 senses plus Man Buddhi Ahankara Chetana, they are promising that you want Ananda, I am here. Please come.
So the initial this thing is of the soul to want to enjoy, but it doesn't realize it is coming into material contact. Or does it realize it?
No, it's okay. Basically, soul wants happiness. Whoever gives it will take.
No, but why the soul wants happiness? No, what I'm saying
we are not talking about for the first time when soul comes to this material world.
Okay. Yeah, it is in the movement.
The discussion in Puranjana, the soul already passed through our lower species. Now it is entering not lower and higher species. Sab kuch ho gaya. Now it is entering into the human species. Why? The human species has the twofold benefit.
Okay.
Enjoyment as well as liberation. But in other species, either enjoyment or suffering. So that's how we have to see the categorization.
Okay.
The human species is given highest importance because here we have a USP. That is, you can endeavor for liberation. In other species, even up to the Devatas, you cannot endeavor for liberation. So it is not that you cannot endeavor, you can endeavor there also, but in general, normal understanding.
The enjoyment is more in the So Chetana is different, Chitta is different. Chitta is given in the material context, mein, and Chetana is of the soul.
I mean, you don't ask that question. That is again different people have different understanding.
Okay, okay.
See, now I'll tell you. I mean, this is my understanding of reading this section. See,
Mm.
we say Chetana means consciousness. What do you mean by
Yeah,
consciousness?
you're aware of it. Awareness.
Aware of what?
Awareness of whatever your surroundings are, or your total this thing, whatever is happening around, you're aware of it. Like suppose if you want to give a material example, suppose somebody is frying samosa or something, the smell comes, you're aware of the smell. The awareness which comes is Chetana, right?
Okay, I'll give you one example.
Ah,
Hare Krishna, other devotees are hearing. So this actually we discussed in the third canto in the section of teachings of Lord Kapila. But again, I'll repeat just to make you understanding what it is.
yeah, you can
So
correlate
this
it.
is from the functional point of view. This is not
Okay.
about the constitutional dharma and all, but how do they function?
Ah,
Because everything has to function. The body is given to us for the purpose of functioning, so that the soul experience joy, ananda,
mm,
whatever.
mm.
So now we have 24 elements.
Mm.
Okay, forget it. Srila Prabhupada's right. Hare Krishna.
Yes, bro.
No. Oh, who is our Lekana Mataji? Who is that making sound? Okay, fine. So, what were the 5 topics discussed in the Bhagavad Gita?
Kala, karma, swabhava,
ऊपर से
and
चालू
Lord.
करो ऊपर
Yeah,
ऊपर से चालू
okay.
करो
Lord, Jiva, and Prakriti, Kala, Karma.
ईश्वर जीवा
Jiva, yeah.
प्रकृति काला
Prakriti,
कर्म
Kala, Karma. Yeah.
ओके ईश्वर independent
Mm.
jiva also independent
Depend. Yeah.
kala
Okay.
also independent in one sense swatantra is there
Mm.
karma and not karma ishvara jiva kala karma
Prakriti,
and
Prakriti.
kala prakriti is also lord's energy
Yeah.
prakriti is I mean there are like okay superior beings and there is something called karma
Mm.
how karma is being performed
Because of the swabhava of the Jiva, he performs various
no
activities.
not about like that but from the instrument point of view who performs karma matlab with the help of what one performs karma
All the action senses and karmendriyas.
basically the
Gyanendriyas.
entire body basically the entire body
Yeah, field of Kshetragya.
the
Kshetra.
entire body consisting of 24 material elements
Yeah.
manbuddhi ahankara chetana 5 jnanendriyas 5 karmendriyas 5 tanmatras and 5 panchamahabhutas
Mm-hmm.
so now karma is performed by 24 elements so
Mm.
replace karma with the 24 elements now total how many elements
24 elements only, na?
no first 5 are there na ishvara jiva prakriti kala karma
Kala.
and
Okay.
karma is replaced with 24 elements now total how
So
many
28.
28 so we have 28 in our hand
Ah.
okay now
Mm.
in teachings of Lord Kapila
Mm.
says that when jiva comes into material world he is given a material body made up of the 24 element that is fine
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
while performing different activities in this material world
Mm.
every element has a different role to play
Mm.
like jnanendriyas have something to do karmendriyas have something to do panchamota have something to do and like that
Mm.
tanmatras have something to do and especially we'll discuss about the 4 antakaranas they have
Yeah.
some particular duty
Yeah. Yeah.
so the duty of the mind is sankalpa vikalpa
Yeah.
so whatever experiences we go through it captures the experience and stores and
Yeah.
whenever some stimuli comes it again pops up the experience okay
Yeah.
last time आपने ये किया था ऐसा experience था हो
Yeah.
गया
Yeah. Yeah.
so sometimes without seeing also mind proposes something some desire okay अभी आप ये खा लो वो खा लो इधर जाओ उधर जाओ ये करो वो करो ऐसा तो माइंड का हो गया
Yeah.
अहंकारा
Ahankara's me, mine.
no I'm
Then
this
identity.
I'm that I'm intelligent I'm that I'm this like
Upadhis.
always
Upadhis.
and
Upadhis.
aham mameti concept में रहते हैं
Yeah. Yeah.
and now what is the function of intelligence
Discrimination, determination.
yeah that is okay but
Yeah.
constitutionally the function of intelligence is dravya spurana vijnanam in teachings of Lord Kapila says that it is by intelligence we understand the nature of these 24 elements
Okay. Yeah.
we understand about earth we understand
Mm.
about water we understand about air fire
Mm.
ether We understand about sound. We
Hmm.
understand about touch, form, taste, smell.
Hmm.
We understand about how Jnanendriyas work, how Karmendriyas work. We also understand about Manbuddhi, Ahankara, Chetana also. At least
Yeah.
Manbuddhi, Ahankara,
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
are.
Hmm.
Everything in relation to matter in this material world,
Hmm.
it is revealed. Dravyas Purana Vijnanam, the knowledge about these 24 elements. So to say, actually 23 elements, but also 24 we can add.
Hmm.
The knowledge about these 24 elements is revealed by
Intelligence.
intelligence. And the knowledge about the remaining 4 elements is revealed by Chetana. Are you getting?
Knowledge about Lord, Prakriti,
Knowledge
time,
about
and
the Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala.
Kala.
The
Is
knowledge
revealed
about
by
these 4 things you will understand with the help of Chetana. The knowledge about the remaining 24 elements you understand with the help of intelligence.
Okay.
बस
Okay.
इतना ही है. सबका आपका आपका अपना रोल है. It is not by intelligence we understand about Lord. It is by Chetana we understand about Lord. Because both function is revelation only. Both you said na Chetana means awareness.
Yeah.
Chetana is not you. We are becoming aware of the pain in the leg. There is some pinprick is there in the soul. So we are getting aware of the pain. That is not because of Chetana. That is because of intelligence.
Okay.
That intelligence is giving you that awareness.
Okay.
There is something called a leg is there. Is leg inside the leg there is a pin gone, the thorn gone inside. So it is bleeding and it is giving pain. This information is given to you by your intelligence. उसके लिए चेतना जरूरत नहीं. Chetana's function is to reveal you the knowledge of Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala.
And so this Chetana is covered by the Chitta that you mean to say.
Chitta means Chetana only. Chitta, Chetana, they are same only.
It's the same.
Sometimes in the Sanskrit they call Chitta, sometimes they call Chetana. But for the distinction's sake, Prabhupada writes Chetana means containment consciousness, Chitta means pure consciousness, something like that he writes. But in whatever case, see, we are not discussing about what are their attributes and all, what are their names. We are talking about what are their activities, what are their functions. Chetana reveals you the understanding of the 4 elements. Intelligence reveals you the understanding of the 24 elements. That's
24
all.
elements. Okay.
So life is clear.
Simple. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
So this is how I see.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Actually, yeah, I heard the whole thing. Now, this question could be stupid, but when you said that Chitta gives the knowledge of the 4 elements, which is Ishvara, Kala, Prakriti, and Jiva, right?
Yes.
When you were saying that the Puranjana is searching for the happiness, that is, soul is searching for the happiness. The soul's what aspect searches for the happiness?
By
The
nature, soul is
also
always seeking for happiness only. Soul means Anandamaya Purusha. He just want Ananda. In the Vaikuntha, the soul gets Ananda in the service of the Supreme Lord. But in the material world, the soul is looking for happiness and somebody else is promising, come to me, I will give you happiness.
Okay.
So who is that? He is a town consisting of 9 gates made up of 24 elements. Town means here Navadvara Pure Dehi, the human body. The leader of the human body is Buddhi. Buddhi means Chetana plus intelligence. Especially in this chapter. And she is assisted by 11 followers.
Yeah, that all I got it, Prabhuji. I was just thinking
I'm giving the overall picture.
Yeah. So when we talk about the soul is seeking for happiness, that means the whole, I mean, as we say that Krishna's body is all spiritual, that means the soul is all spiritual. It does not have to have the compartments of chitta and mind and intelligence like that.
No. Soul does not have anything. These are all given to it. Just like you purchase a home in Bandra and you stay in the home. You are not the home. It is given to you or you are purchased.
Yeah.
Either a company gives you or you purchase. You stay as long as you can stay. If company gives you, as long as you are working in the company, you can stay there. As soon as you resign, you have to give it up.
Mm-hmm.
It is not yours. It is meant to give you happiness.
Okay. So in once, I mean, I'm just trying to understand that. That means seeking pleasure is the nature of the soul, and that's it. So the soul whole is made up of seeking pleasure.
Yes. The
That's it. That's
soul's
it.
only one
Seeking.
thing. That's all. There's nothing else. It has nothing more than that. Whether it is soul
Okay.
or super soul, Anandamaya Purusha only. Even Lord Krishna is also Anandamaya Purusha, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why Lord
Okay.
Krishna expanded into Srimati Radharani? For the sake of experiencing Ananda. Why he
Yeah,
expanded in the
but
form of Balramji and then Balramji expanded into Holy Dham, Vrindavan, this, that, and all the other number of jivas. The first of all, the Lord created all the jivas only for the sake of experiencing Ananda in a
hmm,
bigger way.
okay.
He could have experienced Ananda only with Radharani, in the company of Radharani or in the company of Lakshmi. But he wanted Ananda in a big way, in the company of many, 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 many jivas. Because the jivas are expansion of Krishna, who is only seeking for Ananda. By default, jiva also seeks for Ananda.
Okay.
जीवा के लिए एक ही बिजनेस है आनंद मुझे आनंद चाहिए बस
Mm-hmm.
से
Yeah,
फॉर
all
एग्जांपल
these. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking that the soul has consciousness, but consciousness is given. The soul's nature itself is to seek pleasure, and that's it. Right? Is it not?
yeah. But see here again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not using the word consciousness at all because that is again debatable issue. Because soul has
Yeah.
consciousness, that's what we have studied from the beginning. Okay, I'm not denying that
Yeah.
soul has consciousness. Consciousness
Yeah.
means what? It has its, it understands that I'm existing. Here, that
Yeah.
consciousness is not about what the pain is there, I'm hand is there like that. No, that consciousness is about I do exist. Astitva.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that like that we have to take. And
Mm.
I'm existing, so I need happiness. I'm existing only for enjoying. When this is Ananda ke liye.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am in Vaikuntha, I'll be in the company of the Supreme Lord. I'll be serving. Then Ananda comes automatically. Since I am in the material world, I depend
Mm.
on the matter to get Ananda, and matter is promising. The matter is inviting me, promising that okay, come, I'll give you Ananda.
Mm-hmm.
So here the Ananda is giving. So in the previous canto, we discussed about how Buddhi, that intelligence and Chetana promised and in order to give Ananda. And here we are
Mm.
seeing how mind is giving Ananda.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So it's like that. And that means every element has their role to play. So we understanding all these different elements and different chapters. When we combine all of them, we get complete picture. In that way.
Mm. Okay. Great. Great. This is something new. So all these years we heard that the
Not new,
soul
we
has
discussed many
consciousness.
times. You might be
Yeah.
absent on that day. We discussed couple of many times during that section, Purinjana section.
Possible.
Ah.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Madhavi.
Prabhuji, there are two things I didn't understand. There's some confusion regarding whatever we were discussing just now. Like you mentioned one thing that the man buddhi and the chetana and all these things are given to the soul. They are not in it. Like you explained with the example also now that like somebody gets flat for some time like that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when we say that when we talk about the subtle body, so
Hmm.
subtle body is made of this man, buddhi, ahankar, chitta. So when one soul passes from one body to another body, means as long as he is not liberated, he will
Hmm.
pass along with his subtle body, right?
Okay.
So all these things, when he enters new gross body, his subtle body and the impressions in the subtle body are already there. So it is
Yes.
not new for that soul that time. So then how we understand this?
Yeah, yes, yes. See, it is not new from that point of view, but we are trying to explain the principle, not about the details. But in any case, for the first time when the soul comes to material world, the subtle body is given to it. Yes or
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
So, and the subtle body with it will be there with that soul till the time it is still bound in the material world. When the soul is liberated, that time that is taken out. So it's like that.
So when the first time gross body is given to the soul, that time the subtle body is also given to the soul. So that time
Yes,
it will
yes,
not
yes.
have much of the impressions. So
Yes.
whatever activities soul performs during
Mm.
in the time period of that gross body, that will be stored in that subtle body, and then it will go on getting impressions like that.
Yes, 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 yes. Perfect, perfect.
Okay. Okay. And one more thing, Prabhuji, like here we discuss that Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, and Prakriti. The knowledge
Mm.
of all these fours will be revealed through Chaitanya.
Mm.
And karma and the 24 elements, that part is understood by intelligence.
Mm.
So that means when we are trying to understand the scriptures, because that is giving us knowledge about Ishvara or
Mm.
the soul's spiritual knowledge about the soul and all these things. So that time intelligence doesn't have any role to play, Prabhu.
No, see, intelligence has a role to play also. Even when we understand about Ishvara, for example, take Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter. How Ishvara's presence has been described there in the Vibhuti
Yeah,
Yoga.
yeah. So it's all pervading. Is
So
He's
it
there.
says that among the mountains I am Himalaya.
Yeah.
So here both are there. Matter is there, spirit is there. We are discussing about the material world also, as well as we are discussing about Lord's presence also. Then who will function?
Both.
Both will function. Like that. That's why now both of them are combined together. Many times in the Bhagavatam, they were told together. They are not distinctly separate and being informed. So it is like that.
Okay, so that means the Lord is spiritual. Means the activities of the Lord, which are totally spiritual, but
Mm.
when He comes to this material world, He will have His leelas or pastimes in the material realm.
Mm.
So those will be understood by intelligence, but to
Mm.
understand the theme of it, like understand the gist of it, that which is spiritual, you require that kind of a chetana. That's all.
Just to help you understand, I'll give you some more thing. Ahankara is produced when the mode of ignorance becomes activated. You remember that creation procedure we discussed?
Yeah, yeah,
So Ahankara we can say okay is a product of Tamaguna. Intelligence is
yeah.
produced when the mode of passion from the Ahankara in the mode of passion.
Hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
So we can say it is an element of Rajoguna. And mind is
Yes.
produced from the Ahankara in Sattva.
Yeah.
So we can say mind is an element of Sattva. And
Yes.
what about Chitta? Chitta is the element of which guna?
Shuddha Sattva.
Shuddha Sattva. And now tell me, all the material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, the 10 senses, and all the devatas who are supervising all our activities, all these things, that everything is around us, they are all under the purview of three modes. Yes?
Yes.
So everything within the material world is in the purview of three modes. And the four things, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala. These four are beyond the purview of three modes.
Oh, now it's very clear. Prabhu.
Yes
Yeah.
or no?
Yes. Yes.
So how can the mind, intelligence, and ahankara, which are in three modes, can help us understand about something which is beyond three modes?
Yes. Thanks,
These four
Prabhuji.
are beyond three modes. So with our mind and intelligence and ahankara, we cannot understand. That means it is not that we cannot understand. We may hear, we may analyze, we may try to okay, figure out, but really we cannot. It cannot make sense to us. So just like a new fight, when a new person has come to our the satsanga program, and some serious discussion is going on, not pastimes, some philosophical
Hmm.
discussion is going on. Will that
Right.
person able to understand it?
No.
Because for him everything is new. This
In fact,
terminology, that
yeah.
person may be a PhD scholar in IIT, but for him, what he is hearing today is his first time he is hearing. So he cannot understand. He has never been exposed to this kind of terminology, this kind of words. So like that. So for mind, intelligence, and ego, the spiritual subject matters are like unknown subject matter,
Yeah.
being beyond
This
3 modes.
also, yeah, this also explains like Prabhuji means we see that many times same scripture is read or explained by a speaker, but what everyone understands in the hearers, those who are sitting in front, will be different. It will not be same.
Yes.
Depending on how each one's Chaitanya is evolved, one will grasp the gist of it. Otherwise, people will, some people may just listen to it as a story, even though there are some pastimes. But one whose Chaitanya is really evolved, he will understand the spiritual truth of it, what the pastime
Yes.
is trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Thank you,
mean,
sir.
this is my understanding how these elements are functioning, how these elements are coordinating, etc. So that's why we say Krishna Bhakti. Srila Prabhupada always calls Krishna Bhakti as Krishna consciousness. So it is the activity of Chitta. If you take consciousness to be Chitta, Bhakti is an activity of Chitta. So in that way.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very clearly you explained.
Prabhuji, how is Prakriti spiritual?
Prakriti is, yeah, Prakriti being the Lord's energy, Prakriti's byproducts are material. Prakriti's byproducts, which are 24 elements, are material. Prakriti in its constitutional position, it is in equilibrium state. It is in unagitated state. So that's how I can't say it is spiritual, but it is a independent energy of the Supreme Lord. It is still beyond the purview of the
That is
three
what we
modes.
call Pradhan. That is what we call Pradhan.
Yeah, Pradhana, which is the source of all the
Okay, so
24
Pradhan
elements.
and Prakriti both are the same.
Both are same.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhuji. When we say when the mind is getting spiritual or intelligence becoming spiritual, what does it mean then?
It means, so currently, if you remember the previous verse, what mind is doing? When the first time the person comes into material world, he is given the body with 24 elements.
Yeah.
And under 3 modes, we are performing various activities.
Yeah.
The mind is storing all the experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Experiences in relation to matter.
Yeah.
Understand that when the Jiva first time comes to material world, he is not performing any spiritual activity. He is only performing all the material activity in 3 modes. So all experience are 3 modes only.
Yeah, okay.
So the mind is getting
All
contaminated
impressions
by
of material, yeah.
sattva, rajas and tamas.
Mm-hmm.
When the mind is only performing bhakti activities, the mind is filled with bhakti experiences.
Okay.
When the mind is overflooding with bhakti experiences, other experiences will overflow.
Okay. Yeah.
Say, for example, mind is like the glass. Mind is like a glass. So initially we are filling it with so many other experiences, 3 guni experiences.
Yeah.
So now that means first you have put it with some water and all. Now you get the milk and pour the milk. What happens?
One point, entire thing will be milk.
That's all. That's all. When the mind is fully filled with spiritual experiences, it is purified. It is spiritualized.
And so then what is the purpose? How will the soul get out there? The soul came inside thinking it's going to enjoy, and now it's performing all the spiritual activities. Okay, the mind is get purified totally. Then what happens?
Still soul enjoys.
Soul will be still there, isn't it?
So now ultimately what happens is when soul is enjoying here spiritual activities, ultimately it realizes the spiritual enjoyment means serving the Lord. Here we are serving the Lord indirectly.
Okay.
So one point the soul decides, बहुत हो गया अब indirectly कितना सर्व करेंगे अभी हो गया बहुत मैं जाके डायरेक्ट सर्व करूंगा. So
the soul like decides or the Lord decides that?
Soul desires. The desire comes from the soul because soul want Ananda. Na? Ananda is coming. Ananda is coming and serving the Lord indirectly.
Okay.
But the soul understands, okay, indirectly enjoyment is coming. Sometimes some sand particles are also coming here. Because if we are staying in desert, sand particles will come.
Yeah.
So we have to get out of the desert so that no sand particles will come.
Okay.
So something
thank
like
you, Bruce. Yeah, thank you so much.
So I was previously when you were asking, I was thinking the example of small child What small children want?
They want
They
to enjoy
always
play.
want something to eat. They always want
Okay.
something to eat only.
Okay.
अभी जो भी है कुछ नहीं रहेगा तो जो भी पेन रहेगा तो पेन मुंह में रखेंगे.
Yeah.
Something like that. Soul always looks for ananda. If there is no spiritual ananda, it looks for material ananda. Thus, so by
Okay.
material ananda, the soul, the child gets hurt. So when standing fan is there, the fan is running. So the child want to see by keeping the finger in that. It keeps the finger in that, it gets hurt. The child want to experience ananda by playing with the fan, but it hurts. The fan has the nature of hurting. So something like that. So
Thank you, Roji.
okay. बहुत बोल रहा हूँ but कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Need all of your prayers. Okay, fine. So we'll move on to next verse. Hare Krishna. Text number 7. Okay, in text 6, what is there? So embracing the jiva, which is the cause, the mind, a covering on the jiva creates. So the mind is tightly embracing the jiva. As a result of that, we are experiencing the different emotions. Actually, we soul want ananda, but we are end up with all these experiences, good, bad, and medium, etc. Distress, happiness, and illusion and all are coming. तावानयं व्यवहारसाध्वी sorry तावानयं व्यवहारः सदावी क्षेत्रज्ञसख्यो भगवति स्थूलसूक्ष्मः तस्मान्मनोलिङ्गमदो वदन्ति गुणागुणत्वस्य परावरस्य. Please read the translation, someone.
The mind makes the living entity within this material world wander through different species of life, and thus the living entity experiences mundane affairs in different forms as human beings, demigods, fat person, skinny person, and so forth. Learned scholars say that bodily appearance, bondage, and liberation are caused by the mind.
Samsara, Samsruti, thus created by the mind, manifested at the practical material world. So now, in order to connect to King Rahuna, he is telling that you are speaking about the practical world, the day-to-day dealing world, the world with which you deal, that is manifested only by the mind, which is tightly embracing the soul, but performing various activities under the supervision of 3 modes. As a result of that, the practical world about which you are talking that exists with waking and dreaming state. What is there in the practical world? We have something called as waking state, something called as dream state. Daytime and nighttime. Dream state means night, waking is daytime. He is constantly witnessed by the knower of the field. The Kshetrajna experiencing, 18 hours daytime, 6 hours nighttime. Maybe little bit here and there, we can say. 16 or 17 hours daytime, 7 or 8 hours sleep night time. That is what soul is experiencing. Whether one may be human being, one may be animal, one may be this, one may be that. Ultimately, everyone is going through day and night. That is what ultimately experiencing we are. Therefore, they say that the mind is the cause of bondage as well as liberation. Guna, aguna, gunatvasya, agunatvasya. Guna is bandage, matlab we are bound by 3 gunas, and aguna means we go beyond 3 modes, that is liberation, which are known as the inferior and superior states of existence. Bondage due to gunas is inferior state, and liberation is superior state. So everything comes from by mind only. It is the mind which gives us bondage. It is the same mind which also gives us liberation. Samsara, caused by the mind, is called as the practical material world. So in this way, material world makes its appearance always seen by the knower of the field in waking and dreaming state. The soul experiences the practical material world when the mind becomes subservient to three modes. The happiness of the self, which is called the truth, is caused by the mind. What is the real truth? Ananda Mayobhyasa. That is the real truth. The truth is only one point thing. Whether it's Jivatma or Paramatma, he is always looking for Ananda. That is the ultimate truth. There is nothing more than that. So the happiness, the self, the Jiva, which is called truth, is caused by the mind. The mind promised, come to me, I will give you happiness. So it is trying to give you happiness. Therefore, that mind alone is the cause of samsara and liberation. So the mind under three modes causes samsara, mind purified causes liberation, which are low and high states of conditions for the jiva. So it's like that. So as I mentioned in the previous condition that it is by Chetana we are trying to understand the true nature of Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala. But Chetana alone cannot do everything. Chetana takes the help of remaining elements also. Of course, it reveals, the revelation is there with it only. But in order to execute the spiritual activities, it needs the help of all the other elements. So by constantly engaging the other elements in spiritual activities, slowly, they are all purified. Like pouring milk into a water filled with glass. So something like that. So now, how can the one mind be the cause of different conditions? ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हैं आप? It is the mind which is the cause of bondage and the cause of the liberation. When the mind causes bondage and when the mind causes liberation. थोड़ा बताओ, डिटेल में बताओ. So this is the question. The answer is गुणानुरक्तं व्यसनायता जन्तो क्षेमाय नैर्गुण्यमतो मनस्यात् यथा प्रदीपो घृतवर्तिमश्नन् शिखा सधूमा भजति अन्यदास्वं पदं तथा गुणकर्मानुबद्धं वृत्तिर्मन श्रयते अन्यत्र तत्वम्.
When the living entity's mind becomes absorbed in the sense gratification of the material world, it brings about his conditioned life and suffering within the material situation. However, when the mind becomes unattached to material enjoyment, it becomes the cause of liberation. When the flame in a lamp burns the wick improperly, the lamp is blackened. But when the lamp is filled with ghee and is burning properly, there is bright illumination. Similarly, when the mind is absorbed in material sense gratification, it causes suffering. And when detached from material sense gratification, it brings about the original brightness of Krishna consciousness.
So this verse talks about the two results of the mind with an example of wick. It is said, when the mind is attached to the gunas, manaha guna anuraktam syat, it is the cause of jiva suffering. Vyasanaya jantu, the jiva becomes addicted to vyasana. Vyasana means bad habits. And when the same mind is detached from the gunas, nairgunyam, it is the cause of liberation. That means when the mind is interested in the material activities and the three modes, it will cause bondage. When the same mind is inclined to perform spiritual activities, devotional activities which are beyond three modes, then it causes liberation. Here, mind becomes detached from the gunas means it has become attached to spiritual activities. Here it is to perform material activities, here it will perform spiritual activities. That is the difference. Mind has to perform activity, it cannot remain idle. So, in that way. Example is, just as the lamp with a charred wick displays a smoky flame, and with a fresh ghee laden wick displays a bright flame. The mind bound by the gunas takes shelter of many conditions, and at another time enjoy the taste of the Lord's sweetness. In the lamp there is full ghee, and the wick is fresh. The wick brightly shines without any smoke. But when the ghee is completed, then the wick starts burning. Because there is no ghee supply. Now the wick means the cotton starts burning. It produces soot, smoke, etc. etc. So that is understanding. So ghee is compared to spiritual substance. When spiritual substance is not there, when we try to enjoy the matter, it is like the cotton wick is getting burnt. Or something like that. Nirgunyam means nirgunam. A lamp with a burned up ghee wick burns with a smoky flame, and at another time gets extinguished and merges with the elements. Eventually, after burning the entire wick, the lamp extinguished. There is nothing to burn, so it is gone. Something like that. Or a lamp with a burnt up ghee wick burns with a smoky flame, but when fed on golden ghee, it burns without smoke in its brilliant form. So it's like this is the difference. So burning in its brilliant form is like the liberated condition, and burning with smoke is the conditioned state. So in that way, it is like that. Similarly, the mind bound by the gunas takes shelter of many functions, many vrittis, but at another time obtains a state of the Lord's sweetness. So mind in the conditioned state takes on many vrittis. So vritti means it is basically occupation, activities, something like that we can say. So it has many activities to perform in the conditioned state, something like that. But in the liberated state, it only has one thing. It only tastes the sweetness of the Lord's lotus sweet. Only Ananda, unlimited Ananda in the liberated condition. So what are the vrittis? There are 11 vrittis of the mind that will be mentioned in the next two verses. Ekadashan manaso hi vritya akutaya panchadiyo vimana matrani karmani puram cha tasam vadanti ekadasha veera bhumihi.
There are 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. There is also the false ego. In this way, there are 11 atoms for the mind's function. O hero, the object of the senses, such as the sound and touch, the organic activities, such as evacuation, and the different types of bodies, society, friendship, and personality, are considered by learned scholars the fields of activity for the functions of the mind.
So what are the vrittis of the mind? So mind has 11 vrittis, 11 activities to perform. So what are they? The 11 functions of the mind are the 5 knowledge senses, the 5 action senses, and the hankara. So with the help of these 11 elements, the mind performs 11 different kinds of activities. These are the 11 vrittis of the mind. So in villages we call as kula vritti. The family occupation is generally called as kula vritti. So vritti means basically activity or occupation. So in that way. So mind has 11 activities to perform with the help of the 10 senses and ahankara. O king, they say that there are 11 objects for these 11 senses. What are they? 5 tanmatras for the 5 knowledge senses, 5 karmas for the 5 karmendriyas, and the body. The body is for ahankara. Because ahankara has twofold function. Aham mameti. I am this is mine. And this is exhibited through body. When body is given to us, and ahankara says, oh, I am this. I am male, I am female, I am this, I am that. And these are mine. This house is mine, this vehicle is mine, these people are mine, something like that. This verse shows the conditions or vrittis of the mind. There are 11 vrittis, 5 action senses, 5 knowledge senses, and ahankara. For these 11 senses, there are 11 objects. The tanmatras are the sense objects for the knowledge senses. What the knowledge senses will do? they always try to get the tanmatras. The tongue always want to taste something. The eyes always want to see something. The ears always want to hear something. The skin always want to experience some touch sensation. And what else? हो गया punch? हो गया होगा. And actions such as elimination are the sense objects for the action senses. The five karmendras also want to experience some want to perform some karmas, some activities. And the body is called Puram, which is house, etc., are the objects of the Ahankara. So in that way. Matrani, Karmani, Puramcha. Matra is five tanmatas, Karma is five kinds of karmendriya activities, and Puram, that is basically our body, is the field of action for the Ahankara. They are mentioned in this verse. What are the five tanmatras? What are the five karmic activities? So what is the body? How does the body gives us the aham mamiti experience? So that is given in this verse. Gandha kriti sparsha rasa shravamsi visarga rati arati अभिजल्प शिल्पा एकादशं स्वीकरणं ममेति शय्यामहं द्वादशमेक आहु.
Sound, touch, form, taste, and smell are the objects of the five knowledge acquiring senses. Speech, touch, movement, evacuation, and sexual intercourse are the objects of the working senses. Besides this, there is another conception by which one thinks, this is my body, this is my society, this is my family, this is my nation, and so forth. This 11th function of the mind is called the false ego. According to some philosophers, this is the 12th function and its field of activity is the body.
So the 11 objects are fragrance, gandha, form, akruti, touch, sparsha, taste, rasa, sound, shravamsi. These are the five tanmatras. And then five activities. Evacuating, that is visarga. Sexual intercourse, rati. Motion, moving with legs from one place to other place, arti. And speaking, abhijalpa, prajalpa, sanjalpa, abhijalpa, etc. And grasping, shilpa. Shilpa means grasping, but holding something. With our hands, we hold mobile, we give something to others, we collect from something from others, some paper, here, this, that is all activity of the hands. Okay. And finally, the 11th activity of the Ahankara is possessiveness of objects, mama. Ahankara has twofold activity, aham mameti. So mama is the 11th activity, that is possessiveness of objects, and ahamta is the 12th activity. So some people treat them both of them together, some people take them separately. If you take them separately, 12 hoga. So aham is the 12th activity, that is the body. Dwadasham shayyam identifies as I by the ahankara. Shayya means so jate. So we take rest on the bed. Bed is like the support. So the body is the support for us to perform all the activities. The body is something on which we express our identity. So that is I-ness. We express our I-ness with the help of the body. And we express our minus, mamata, with the help of all the objects that we possess. Aham mameti. This is the function of ahankara. So this verse describes the objects. First, the five tanmatras starting with fragrance are described in relation to the knowledge senses, starting with nose. Then the five action senses, actions starting with the evacuation are the objects of the five action senses. This makes 10. The 11th item is the body, which is accepted, Vikaranam. Because body is accepted by the soul at their home to stay, something like that. Because of Ahankara's twofold nature of mine and I, mama and aham, ahamamiti, some acharyas say that the 11th object is possessiveness of things like a house. The 12th object is the identification of the body for the Ahankara. Currently, we identify ourselves as I am the human being. If we are in the dog's body, we say that I am dog. That aham comes based on the body. And based on what one possesses, the mama comes. So in that way. So basically 12 functions, basically 11 functions. Then the 11th one has 2 components. So totally we can take them as 12 functions. So with the help of these 12 activities, the mind either creates bondage or creates liberation. Activities to problem nahi. When these activities are performed in 3 modes, then the activities cause bondage. When the activities with the help of these 11 senses are performed beyond 3 modes, then there is no bondage. So that is understanding. Able to follow all of you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. द्रव्यस्वभावाशयकर्मकालैर् एकादशामी मनसो विकारा सहस्रशात सहस्रशा शतसहस्रकोटिश्च क्षेत्रज्ञतो नामितो न स्वतः स्युः.
The physical elements, nature, the original cause, culture, destiny, and the time element are all material causes. Agitated by these material causes, the 11 functions transform into hundreds of functions, and then into thousands, and then into millions. But all these transformations do not take place automatically by mutual combination. Rather, they are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of God.
Yeah. Now in the next 2 verses, we'll understand that how the mind, by executing various activities with the help of these 11 senses, creates bondage, and also executing various activities with the help of these 11 senses only creates liberation. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. So one verse talks about the bondage, next to 12th verse talks about the liberation. So how this is causing bondage? Because of the variations in materials, natures, antakarana, karma, and time, the 11 transformations of the mind become hundreds, thousands, and millions. They become unlimited, not by themselves or by their combined strength, but by the power of Paramatma. So by the intervention of Paramatma, each and every activity has multifacedness. For example, Aham, we'll take one example of Aham. Ankara as an identity. Currently, I am identifying as myself as a human being. But in that, there are 4 lakh variations. Sometimes when I become animal, we will have Jalajala Lakshani, Savara Laksha Vishnudi, Trimshal Lakshani Pashava. 30 lakh varieties are there. When I become aquatic, 11 lakh varieties are there. So like that, at least 84 lakh variety species are there. So 84 lakh variety of I-ness is there. Like that for everything, there is unlimited variegatedness. So when we want to experience that unlimited variegatedness, we are bound. अभी variegatedness है, मुझे ये भी चाहिए, 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 सब कुछ चाहिए. Then we are bound here. So it is like that. By the influence of Paramatma, every experience can be further divided into unlimited crores and crores. If the mind is desiring to experience all the experiences, it is bound here. So it is like that. There are unlimited varieties of functions of the mind by subdivision. The transformations of the functions first become 100 and then hundreds and then hundreds and thousands and millions by divisions of the material objects. For example, taste. Taste also we can simply say, okay, there is apple, there is banana, there is grapes, there is pomegranate, this one, that one, pizza, pasta, rice, dal, sabji, chapati, dal also, chana dal, tur dal, moong dal with chilka, moong dal without chilka, moong dal sprouted, moong dal fried. So many kitna variety hai. So Indian, Chinese, and Italian, this, that, American, European, कितना वेराइटी है टेस्ट में. अभी वो सब एक्सपीरियंस करना है तो कितना समय तक हमको रहना पड़ेगा इधर. So that is the bondage. Because of the infinite number of material objects such as sandalwood, musk, kunkuma, gold, silver, and coral, etc. Because of the infinite number of natures, one person may enjoy certain fragrance, etc. For example, in the case of massages, so in Mumbai, there could be hundreds of golden shops, and every gold shop has hundreds of golden ornaments. If Matajis want to have the experience of wearing each and every golden ornament, one may not be able to do in one lifetime. So one need to take that many births in one lifetime. Maybe one Mataji might wear maybe 10 to 100 different variety of golden ornaments. Not, I don't think so, more than that possible. But there are thousands and crores of golden ornaments all over Bombay. Different variety of ornaments I'm telling. Not the same variety, but in different. If somebody want to experience wearing each and every golden ornament, how many lifetimes it will take? So that is how the mind makes us bound in this material world. So because of the infinite number of natures, one person may enjoy certain fragrance, etc. In one lifetime, we are able to experience only few, not all. In order to experience the remaining, we need to take birth again and again, again and again, like that. Because of the good or bad natures of the antakarana, because of control of karma and by the control of the time in the form of age, baby, youth, etc. There are unlimited varieties of single functions such as fragrance. Fragrance also different varieties. The fragrance varieties based on the element itself, based on the person's perception. In a childhood, one perceives it differently. In youth, one perceives it differently. In adulthood, one perceives it differently. So, like same object, but its perception becomes different at different ages. At different times, also it becomes different. In the morning, one perceives the fragrance of the rose differently. In the afternoon, it will be different. In the evening, it will be different. In the rainy season, it will be different. In the summer season, it will be different. In the winter season, it will be different. It's like that. So much variety. Not by themselves and not by their combination, but because the Paramatma has unlimited power, these functions become unlimited in themselves. Why this variety? The variety comes because of Paramatma only, not on its own. Aham sarvasya prabho mattam sarvam pravartate. Everything is manifested from me and everything is operated by my presence as Paramatma only. It is by Paramatma, everything is under operation. So it is like that. So this is how we are all bound in this material world. I hope you understood the example. I did not confuse you. Bondage means this only. There is variety. The mind want to experience everything. तो उसके लिए जितना टाइम लगेगा उतना टाइम को इधर रहना पड़ेगा. बस उतना ही. The next verse
Hariksha
talks
Prabhu,
about.
you
Yes.
made it sound so simple, you know. हाँ ये सब एक्सपीरियंस करना पड़ेगा तो हमें यहीं पे रहना पड़ेगा. But when you think of the magnanimity of it, it's so
That is
scary.
bondage.
Yeah,
And that too, I
it's so
told only as human being. And somebody
Yeah.
want to explain the same object as an animal, as a devata, as this, as that. So ऐसा चलता रहेगा. अबे कितना permutations and combinations.
Yeah, I know.
So that is bondage. So 2 power 24 factorial. So it is like that. So the next verse talks about the liberation. How mind causes liberation also. The knower of the field is twofold. The Paramatma and Jivatma. Both are Kshetrajna. Kshetrajnan chapi maam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Kshetrajnayor jnanam. Jnanam iti mama. So the knower of the field is twofold. Both Paramatma and Jivatma. The Paramatma was mentioned in the previous verse and will be explained in the next verse also. The Jiva is of two types, conditioned Jiva and liberated Jiva. The conditioned Jiva was described as being embraced by the mind and thinking is the body in verse 6. The liberated Jiva is not embraced by the mind and has no false conception of his body. The conditioned Jiva has been understood till the previous verse. Then what is the liberated Jiva? The liberated Jiva is explained in the next verse. So, for conditioned Jiva, the mind tightly embraced him. But for a liberated jiva, the mind is not embraced him. The mind becomes the folded hand. It becomes, yes, sir, please tell me what should I do? Something like that. क्षेत्रज्ञ एता मनसो विभूतिर् जीवस्य माया रचितस्य नित्या आविर्हिता क्वापि तिरोहिताश्च शुद्धो विचस्ते हि अविशुद्ध कर्तुः. Please read the translation.
The individual soul, bereft of Krishna consciousness, has many ideas and activities created in the mind by the external energy. They have been existing from time immemorial. Sometimes they are manifest in the wakening state and in the dream state. But during deep sleep or unconsciousness or trance, they disappear. A person who is liberated in this life or Jivan Mukta can see all these things vividly.
Yeah. The liberated jiva, free of samsara, because he has become Shuddha, Shuddha Kshetagnya, impartially sees the transformations of the coverings on the jiva, known as the mind, which performs actions opposite to the Lord and which is made up of Maya. So, in the case of the liberated jiva, he is still living in the body only. He is still situated in the body only, but he does not identify with the activities that are being performed by the body. For that person, the body becomes a second person. So what the second person does, I have nothing to do with it. Like that, he sees. The liberated jiva sees. So liberated jiva sees that, okay, I am living along with 24 more brothers. The 24 brothers, not 24, we can say 14 brothers. The 14 senses are there, 14 brothers. And they are performing 14 different activities. वो अपना अपना कार्य कर रहे हैं, करने दो, मुझे कुछ लेना देना नहीं. So he becomes a witness. He is not the doer anymore. In the conditioned state, whatever is being done by the body, we say that I am doing, I am doing, I am doing. But in the liberated state, one will not say that I am doing. Liberated jiva says that okay, he is doing. ये उनका activity है, वो कर रहे हैं, मेरा कुछ लेना देना नहीं. Something like that. These transformations are without beginning, sometimes visible and sometimes invisible. What it means? The liberated jiva, knower of the field, knows the transformations of the mind. Transformations of the mind means the activities of the 11 senses. 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, and ahankara, they are performing activities. He sees, but he does not identify with them. But does not identify with them and enjoy them. Here there is no enjoyment. There the mind is trying to enjoy each and everything, and jiva goes after the mind. Here the jiva liberated, he does not want to enjoy any of the things. So mind has no activity. It is thus free from samsara. Whereas the conditioned jiva is bound by samsara because the conditioned jiva tries to enjoy each and every variety of the element. The mind is the covering on the jiva because it is made up of maya and performs impure actions which are against recognition of the Lord. All the material activities are impure activities and they are against to the recognition of the Supreme Lord. The transformations of the mind have been present with the jiva without beginning. So the result of this against activities, the impure activities, the mind goes through various transformations and they go on for eternally in that way something. Why are they not visible at all times then? They are manifested during waking and dream state and invisible during deep sleep, and at the time of universal devastation. That means basically this manifestation of variety is possible in the Jagruta and Swapna. In the daytime, we try to experience the objects around us. In the night time, we enter into the dream world and there also we try to experience different variety of dream objects. This trying to enjoy mentality will never go away even in dream also. Only in deep sleep or during pralaya, this is not there. So like that. The conditioned jiva absorbs himself in the conventional world of samsara. In what does the liberated jiva absorb himself? Okay, that is fine. We have understood that conditioned jiva is absorbed in the crores of variety of sense objects. Fine. Then what about liberated jiva? Why liberated jiva is not bound in this material world? So that is explained in the 13th and 14th verses. So what are the experiences of the liberated jiva, as a result of which the jiva is not bound in this material world? So that we will discuss 13th verse after a small break. We'll take a small break for a few minutes, then we'll continue. Hare Krishna. If any of you have any questions, we'll take after coming back. Hare Krishna. Devotees are there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So we'll continue with text number 13. Basically, here we are going to discuss that the conditioned jiva absorbs himself in the conventional world of samsara. Fine. In what does the liberated jiva absorbs himself? So that will be revealed in next two verses, 13th and 14th. क्षेत्रज्ञ आत्मा पुरुष पुराण साक्षात् स्वयं ज्योतिरज परेश नारायणो भगवान् वासुदेवा समाययात्मनि हवदीयमानः. Please read the translation. Both of the verses are together there.
Yes, Prabhuji, 13 and 14 are together, and translation is also
No
together.
problem. यतानिलास्तावरजङ्गमानाम् आत्मा स्वरूपेण निविष्ट ईशे एवं परो भगवान् वासुदेवः क्षेत्रज्ञ आत्मेदमनुप्रविष्टः. Please read.
There are two kinds of Kshetrajna, the living entity as explained above and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is explained as follows. He is the all-pervading cause of creation. He is full in himself and is not dependent on others. He is perceived by hearing and direct perception. He is self-effulgent and does not experience birth, death, old age, or disease. He is the controller of all the demigods, beginning with the Lord Brahma. He is called Narayana, and he is the shelter of living entities after the annihilation of this material world. He is full of all opulences, and he is the resting place of everything material. He is full of all, he is therefore known as the Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his own potency, he is present within the hearts of all living entities, just as the air or vital force is within the bodies of all beings, moving and non-moving. In this way, he controls the body. In his partial feature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters all bodies and controls them.
Yeah. So in these two verses, in what the liberated jiva gets absorbed is indicated. So in one sense, the liberated jiva primarily absorbed in Ishvara and also absorbed in Jiva, Prakriti, Kala. These four things. Conditioned state, 24 elements. Liberated state, the four superior elements. So that is understanding. So now let us see. The Supreme Lord is the knower of all bodies, is all pervasive, has a human form. This verse gives the different attributes of the Supreme Lord, different attributes of the Ishvara. The Supreme Lord is the knower of all bodies, is all pervasive, has a human form, is the cause of the universe. Mahavishnu is the cause of the universe. He is self-revealing, is Swayam Jyoti. He does not need sunlight or moonlight to reveal, or electricity light to reveal. He is without material birth, yes, and he is the Lord of others. Para Isha is Lord of everyone. He is known as Narayana or Mahavishnu, the Lord of Vaikuntha and the Master of Madura and Dwaraka. He is known as Narayana means Mahavishnu. He is also known as Vasudeva. Vasudeva means Lord of Vaikuntha, Lord of Madura, Lord of Dwaraka. He is the object of meditation for the liberated jivas. Atmani Avadiyamana. He is the object of meditation for the liberated jivas. Liberated jivas are always absorbing Ishvara by his mercy. Swamaya. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord only will be able to do this. So it is like this. This is the principal activity of the liberated jiva. Here, the knower of the field refers to Paramatma, who knows all bodies completely. He pervades everywhere. The cause of the universe is the cause of the universe. He has the form of a human. He is self-revealing. He is devoid of material birth. He is the Lord of all others, such as Brahma. He lies on the Karana ocean. He is full of 6 powers, Bhagavan, as the Lord of Vaikuntha. He is the son of Vasudeva, the master of Madura and Dwaraka. And he is the object of the mind for the liberated jivas. So since he is completely free from Maya, or he is the object of meditation for the liberated jiva because of his Swarupa Shakti or by his mercy, by Lord's mercy, the liberated jiva meditates on Supreme Lord, and these are the various attributes of the Supreme Lord. So Ishvara is revealed. And then, just as the example is given, just as the air enters all moving and stationary beings as prana and controls them, the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, the knower of all bodies, pervading everywhere, enter this universe. Andantarastha Paramanucha Antarastam. Sarvasa Chaha Mudisannivishto Mattasmrutir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. And Ishvara Sarvabhutani Ruddesh Arjun Tishtati Brahmayan Yantra Rudani Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudani Maya. So it's like that. It is by the presence of Paramatma only everything is operating. So like that. The Lord is easily attained by liberated jiva. An example is given. Just as the air in the form of prana, okay, enters all beings and controls them. So the Lord enters this universe and controls this. Yo lokatrayam avisha bibarti avya ishvara. What was this verse? Chapter 15, text number 17, I suppose. 16th verse says that द्वौ इमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षरमेव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थो अक्षर उच्यते. And then उत्तम पुरुषस्तु अन्य परमात्मा इति उदाहृता यो लोकत्रयम् आविश्य बिभर्ति अव्यय ईश्वरा. Superior to conditioned and liberated jivas is Brahman, and superior to Brahman is Paramatma. And that Paramatma entering into our universe, he maintains the entire universe. Yo Lokatrayam Avisha. Lokatrayam means Bhuloka, Bhurloka, Sargaloka. 3 loka are the entire universe in that sense. And Vibharti Avya Ishvara. He maintains, he holds it and maintains it. So that is Paramatma. So these are the different attributes of the Ishvara. And by the way, who is meditating upon him? The liberated Jiva. So Ishvara, Jiva is there. And Prakriti. With the help of Prakriti, he is creating all the material universes. So Prakriti is there. How he is creating all the universes? By impregnating Prakriti with Kala Shakti. So in one sense, Kala, Prakriti, and Jiva and Ishvara, all the 4 are kind of directly or indirectly indicated in these 2 verses. So like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, what is the function of Paramatma in non-human bodies?
No, Paramatma always has the form, na? Paramatma means Karanadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshuradakshaya Vishnu. They have a form.
No, he has a form that is understood. But like in human body, we say na that वो श्वेता श्वेतर उपनिषद का I think that श्लोक samane vruksham, that Paramatma is seeing the activities of the soul and he is waiting when he will turn towards me. Because in human body one has the capacity to understand the spiritual matter, to understand the purpose of one's existence, and then he can take up to the bhakti. But in the other bodies, like animal bodies or whatever the non-human bodies, they don't have that facility, they don't have that capacity that they can take up to bhakti or do any bhakti activity. So in those bodies, but in those bodies also Paramatma is there, right? So what is the function of Paramatma in those bodies?
In every Jiva's body, Paramatma has only one function. Paramatma's one and only one function is Yoga Nidra. He is always in Yoga Nidra. Paramatma does not interact in every activity. He had established a system. That system is in autopilot mode. It's working. and he is in yoga nidra. He is relaxing. Only
That
when
means
someone becomes devotee, then the Paramatma wakes up and starts interacting with the devotee.
matlab animal bodies mein he will be in yoga nidra only. He will not be doing anything. Or even
Yes.
in the human bodies, non-devoted human bodies, he will be in the yoga nidra like that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. But then that means Prabhuji, means जो अगर डिवोटी कोई बन गया तो वो ऑलरेडी इज ऑन द पाथ, बट जो नहीं है उनको ज्यादा जरूरत है ना, लाइक
हाँ, जरूरत है तो पूछो ना, कौन मना कर रहा है? He is ready to help you, help us, but we don't want his help. But वो क्या करेंगे?
okay, so unless somebody seeks for the help, he will not help like that. Okay, okay, thank you.
So in the next section, how the conditioned souls are delivered from illusion. So from the beginning, we are discussing about conditioned souls, how conditioned the practical world manifests, how the one becomes bound by the mind, etc., etc. So now, in the previous two verses, we saw that what is the state of the liberation. In the liberated state, what does the jiva do? अभी conditioned state से liberated state तक कैसे पहुंचना है? So this is about avideya. In one sense, we can say something conditioned state, but the jiva state is there. Some ultimate result is also mentioned, but यहाँ से वहां तक कौन से पहुंचना है? So that is we can see in the next section. नयावदेतां तनुभृन्नरेन्द्र विदूयमायां वयुनोदयेन विमुक्तसङ्गो जितसपत्नो वेदात्मतत्त्वं भ्रमतीह तावत्.
My dear King Ravaguna, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world.
Yeah. Slowly, one by one will be indicated how one can be liberated. O king, as long as the jiva, tanubrut, jiva matlab embodied jiva, does not know the truth about the Lord, naveda atma tattvam, janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvataha. Till the time what does not know about the janma and karma of the Supreme Lord in tattvataha, after having destroyed Maya. By knowing this, one will destroy Maya. Mam yevai prapadyante mayam yetam tarandite. Destroyed Maya means one overcomes Maya in that sense and is not freed from ignorance. Na vimukta sango. By appearance of true knowledge. Here knowledge means the knowledge about Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti and Kala. And conquering the six senses, Jitashat Sapatno, he must wander in this world. Till the time all these things does not happen, one must wander in this world. When one does all these things, one attains liberation. Simple. What are the things one should do in order to attain liberation? One should know in truth about the Lord, and one should overcome the influence of Maya, and one should conquer the six senses. These are the things. Basically, one should control the six senses and endeavor to attain the knowledge about Lord's Divya Janma and Divya Karma. As a result of that, when knowledge comes, one destroys the ignorance and one attains liberation. It has been said that the liberated Jiva, free from ignorance, eternally has knowledge in the form of thinking of the Lord. In the previous verse it is said, the Jiva subjected to ignorance, however, must perform sadhana to become free from ignorance. As long as one does not know the truth about the Atma, after destroying Maya, and is not free of material association by the appearance of knowledge of the Lord, he will wander in this world. So basically, control the six senses, try to understand the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. As a result of one gets knowledge. Of course, with the purification of the heart, one gets knowledge, and the ignorance is completely destroyed. So like that. Then the next question is, how does one know perfectly that Maya is removed? As long as the mind is attached to sense objects, there will be no knowledge of Atma or removal of ignorance. How does we know that Maya has been removed? The one-pointed understanding is, as long as the mind is attached to the sense objects, there will be no knowledge of Atma or removal of ignorance. Maya is not removed as long as we have attachment to sense objects. This is stated in this current verse. So actually this gives a self-test formula. So just flowing through this chapter, we can understand, we can actually evaluate ourselves where we are standing now. What is our current position? So in that way. Nayavadetan mana atmalingam samsara tapavapanam janasya yashokamoha mayaragalobha Vairanubandham mamatam vidatte.
The soul's designation, the mind, is the cause of all tribulations in the material world. As long as this fact is unknown to the conditioned living entity, he has to accept the miserable condition of the material body and wander within this universe in different positions. Because the mind is affected by disease, lamentation, illusion, attachment, greed, and enmity, it creates bondage and a false sense of intimacy within this material world. Correct.
As long as the mind, the field of suffering in this material world, the cause of lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, greed, enmity, and the covering on the jiva, has possessiveness of sense objects. Basically, as long as the mind has possessiveness of the sense objects, it will not know about the Lord. मुझे ये भी चाहिए, ये भी चाहिए, ये भी चाहिए, ये मेरा, ये मेरा, ये मेरा. So till then, there will be no understanding of the Supreme Lord. As long as the mind, the covering of Atma, the covering on the Atma Lingam, has possessiveness, it will not know about Atma. The mind is the field for suffering in the material world. The suffering is described. The mind is the field from which arises lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, and greed. The mind takes shelter of such things. So verse 8 mentioned that the mind tastes Tattva, the Lord. The 5 verses starting from verse 12 I have discussed that Tattva. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So all these verses are talking about that Tattva which is supposed to be tasted by the mind. Absolute Tattva, Atma Tattva. So this is being indicated in all these verses. So in that way. Otherwise, mind experiences all other things such as lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, greed, etc. And finally, okay, if mind is giving all these things because it has possessiveness, so how to come out of this condition? How to come out of this problematic condition? The solution is offered in the last verse of this chapter, 17th verse. भ्रातृत्वमेनं तदब्रवीर्यम् उपेक्षयाद्येदितमप्रमत्तः चरणोपस्थानास्त्रो जहि वेलिकं स्वयमात्ममोशम्.
This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care.
So this verse gives solutions, some practical solutions. Since it is Abhidheya, there should be some practices that is given here. The first thing is by neglecting the enemy of great power. The mind has great power and also it is a great enemy. So one need to neglect. The mind always proposing so many demands. The first thing is neglect it. So which increases constantly in power by being attentive. First is neglect whenever mind demands something. Second thing is apramatta by being attentive to spiritual activities. And third is possessing the weapon of bhakti at the lotus feet of the Lord. Neglect it, being attentive to spiritual activities, and equipped with the weapon of bhakti at the lotus feet of the Lord. And fourth one is and the mantra given by the Guru. Always take shelter of the mantra given by the Guru. By these four things, conquer the enemy, which steals the treasure of Paramatma. The wealth of Jivatma is Paramatma. If the mind is uncontrolled, it steals away that wealth and hides it somewhere and takes the Jiva to some meaningless wealth in that way. The first one is by neglecting it. Second one is by being attentive to spiritual activities and by possessing the weapon of bhakti and by taking shelter of the mantra given by the Guru. One can conquer the mind, wandering mind. Therefore, one must capture the mind. How? Neglecting the mind, the enemy, literally brother's son, bhratrutvam. The mind is considered to be bhratrutvam. So it says that the brother's son. Neglecting the mind, the enemy, who is the brother's son, bhratrutvam, one must attack it. By neglecting it, it is defeated. Mind is keep proposing so many desires. If one neglects, it proposes. At one point of time, it becomes tired of proposing. That's how it is controlled in that way. So one should not praise the mind by noticing it and giving it desired enjoyment. So should not say that when mind says that okay, get this. Wow, my dear mind, my dear friend, you have given me great thing. Like not like that. One should not praise the mind. So constantly neglected and attentive to the kind of choices the mind makes and don't fulfill the demands, then only the mind becomes controlled. However, the intention is not to destroy the mind completely, since the mind is already being described as the cause of elevation as well and degradation in verse 7, and as taking shelter of the Lord in the 8, verse number 8. It is the mind only which takes the shelter of Lord also. Man bhava mad bhakto. So in that way, we cannot destroy the mind, but we have to keep the mind under control so that mind does not propose so many material desires. So in that way. And one should not kill one's brother's son. Since he is his brother's son, nephew, how can we can kill the relative? But we need to stop its frivolous nature. So in that way. How is the mind described? How is the mind described in this verse? It increases greatly by taking shelter of its transformations. When we start fulfilling desires of the mind becomes more strong. Now it has proposed only 10 desires. When we fulfill them, it proposes 100 desires. If we fulfill them, it proposes 1,000 desires. Like that, it becomes stronger and stronger as soon as we start fulfilling it. It becomes more nourished. Instead, by neglecting it, we have to make it weaker and weaker so that it remains peaceful. So something like that. But how can I, who am weak, conquer the mind which is so strong? You are only telling that mind is so strong, but I am weak. So how can I conquer the mind, the strong mind? So the next solution is, one should have the weapon in the form of worship of the feet of the Lord at the 9 forms of bhakti. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So these are the 9 processes of bhakti. One should perform all these 9 things by which one develops a strong weapon to control the mind. And also in the form of the mantra given by Guru. Or one should have the weapon of worship of the feet of the Lord, who is the Guru. So worshipping Lord's feet, chanting Lord, taking shelter of Lord's and the Guru's Guru mantra given by the Guru, and constantly executing Navavida Bhakti. These are the weapons. The mind is not a friend because it bewilders a person by showing its transformations and steals away the form of Paramatma, the treasure of life. It is a great thief. So an uncontrolled mind is a worst enemy. It steals away our wealth, that is Paramatma. Paramatma is actually our true wealth. So today morning we were discussing, I'm not I, but in the class it was His Grace Dwarakadesh Prabhu and His Grace Madhavan Prabhu came to IIT Mandi. They were here yesterday for a conference, and today morning they were speaking that Brahmani Adaya Karmani Sangam Tektva Dhananjaya. One verse from Bhagavad Gita chapter 5. It says that we need to perform, see whatever, see all of you are working out, all of you are going to office and earning salary. In Sanskrit, the salary is called Adaya. In Telugu also we call Adaya. So in the past, we used to call Adaya, Vetanam, etc. So here Bhagavad Gita it says that Brahmani Adaya Karmani. One should perform all the variety of activities, karma, in order to get the wealth of Brahman or absolute truth. So the wealth that we should be encash by performing various activities should be Brahman or absolute truth, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan, any one of these three. That wealth we should accumulate by performing various activities. So that is the intellectual action. Otherwise, in the material world, everyone is working very hard to earn the material wealth. So that's how we have to see the difference. He who makes his mind give up sense objects, Sangam Tektva, by the weapon of bhakti, and having destroyed ignorance, applies the mind to Lord Krishna is called liberated. Those who are constantly working for attaining Brahman, Brahmani Adaya Karmani, they will attain Brahman, they will get liberation. Why not? Whatever we work for, we will get it. We are supposed to get it one day. He who nourishes ignorance, filled with impressions of desire, and tastes and takes shelter of the transformations of the mind, since he lacks bhakti, is called conditioned. The other person who keep the mind under control and take shelter of bhakti is liberated. This person who does not take shelter of bhakti but take shelter of mind's demands is conditioned. So like that. So this is how the solution has been given. By neglecting
Hare
the
Krishna,
mind's
bro.
demands, one second, just summarizing. First one is by neglecting the demands of the mind, by being attentive to the kind of demands of the mind, and by developing a weapon, by performing Navavida Bhakti, serving Lord's lotus feet, and taking shelter of mantra given by Guru. This is the solution. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. In this now, who is that he? He has to neglect the mind. He has to take shelter of. Who is that he you're referring to here?
Whoever wants
Because
to become liberated,
no, see, usually once the mind has embraced the soul, it is in control of all the activities. Now, how will that? Who is that he you're referring to here, or I, or whatever it is? Who has to control the mind? Who has to neglect the mind? Who has to this thing? Who is that he?
Jiva.
Can he overpower the mind? You said because he's embraced the mind is in control of everything now.
No, he does not embrace the mind. Mind embraces him.
Yeah, mind embraces him, but then mind is not going to let him go, isn't it? But how will he open the mind and start devoting himself to the Supreme Lord?
That's what, no? He can do it when he does these four things. Slowly, he'll be able to become indifferent to the demands of the mind. It is a continuous process. It will not be happening one time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree to it. But when you say the mind has embraced the soul, that means it's got a covering totally the soul. Like Puranjan has been covered totally by all these 24 elements. Right? Now, how will that Puranjan soul realize, no, I have to get out of this?
That's what we are discussing from the beginning. When we hear about Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, then we understand that I am Jiva, I am covered by mind. When I understand that I am covered by mind, I want to come out of the covering of the mind.
So
when I
it
do
is
not
not
understand that I am covered by mind, I don't know who am I. I am only seeing through the lens of the mind. For example, like when I'm wearing the yellow glasses, I see the entire world as yellow only.
Yeah, right.
So then
So
I have to see the.
No, when you say when you understand you're the Jiva, you're the Prakriti, Kala, Karma, what does it mean? The soul understands it, not the mind. And the soul.
Yes, soul only. See, mind is only instrument. One takes the help of the mind. One takes the help of the instrument. For example, right now, I am taking the help of the laptop so that whatever I speak, it will come to you.
Yeah.
So it is an instrument. The mind is also like an instrument. The instrument can be used in the positive way. It can be used in the negative way also. So how I will use the instrument is my choice.
Okay.
So when I understand this is instrument, I will use it in the positive way.
Okay.
But when I understand I am the laptop, so I can't understand that I am different from the laptop, though I have to use the laptop.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
So it's like that. Okay, other devotees, any questions?
No,
You are
Guruji.
following? Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, following to some extent.
To some extent, Krishna. No problem.
Guruji, following absolutely, practicing is an issue.
You put it rightly, Mataji.
Yeah.
No problem. Let us hear. One day it will sink in and become ours. So we should not stop hearing.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I'm sorry. Actually, in between my net is some problem is going on, so I'm getting dropped. Actually, that slide was there, na, the previous slide. In that first, it's something about transformations was written. What it means, I didn't understand.
Transformation means that we remember the mind has got 11 activities with respect to 11 senses.
Can you please show the slide, Prabhuji?
And every activity has multiple variety. No, I mean, I've already changed now. Transformation means that only. The mind has 11 senses. It is disposal, and every sense has a different activity, and every activity has millions of varieties. We have given the example now.
Okay.
The taste has millions of variety. There is rice taste, local rice, basmati rice, sona masuri rice.
Okay.
Vegetables, red tomato, yellow tomato, green tomato, pizza, pasta, this, that. If you want to taste everything, how much time it will take?
Okay.
So they are the transformations.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So now, having heard about the practical world has been created by the mind, and when one takes shelter of bhakti, one goes beyond practical world, then one experiences the real absolute world. That's how he has indicated in the previous chapter, Brahmana Bharata. So hearing all this, Now our King Rahuguna is going to make one more question. So the answer will be given in the 12th chapter. 12th chapter explains that though the universe is false, Lord Krishna's 6 qualities is abode and bhakti are true. So now here this is not Mayavada saying that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Here false means though the practical world is there, but practical world exists for the conditioned mind. For the liberated mind, though living in the practical world, he is not interested in the practical world. For him, the practical world is as good as not existing. From that way, the word illusion is used. It is there. He may see, but he is not affected by that. He is not attracted by that. He sees it as a mirage. ये सब मिराज जैसा है, इसे कुछ लेना देना नहीं. It is not a true thing. Then what is the truth? The truth is bhakti. Bhakti activities. Bhagavan's abode, Bhagavan's nama, rupa, guna, lila. All these are real. All those things which are not in connection to bhakti and Bhagavan are all illusory. That means anything made up of 23 elements is illusory. Anything made up of Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala is spiritual. And now, when you say Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, the same Prakriti again expands in terms of all the ingredients. Then all the ingredients are used only for the service of the Lord. Then the entire world becomes an object meant to serve the Lord. Then the entire world becomes real and bhakti ingredient. So it is like that. So in total there are 16 verses. In the first 4 verses, Rahuguna is going to ask questions. So for today we'll discuss only these first 4 verses and the answer we will discuss next week. Okay, quickly we do the first 4 verses. It's already time. Rahugana Uvacha. Namo Namakkaranavai Vigrahaya Sarupatuchchikrita Vigrahaya Namo Vaduta Dvijabandhulinga Niguda Nityanubhavaya Tubhyam. I will read, you don't have to read the translation. Here is saying that, O Avaduta, I offer respects to you. Namo Nama Avaduta. Having an eternal form like the Lord, Karana Vigrahaya, which makes the writers of the scriptures insignificant by its experience of bliss. So basically, by possessing a liberated body, everything becomes, in one sense, currently for us everything is theoretical. All spiritual topics are theoretical. But when one attains the spiritual body, everything becomes practical. So in that way, like that we have to understand. I offer respects to you, having an eternal form like the Lord, which makes writers of the scriptures insignificant by its experience of bliss. So now, after attaining liberation, one does not look backward. Again, the scriptures which are saying that no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So these are all not required then, because he's already param drishtva nivartate. He's already experiencing highest rasa. He does not even look behind the lower rasa. So like that. I offer respects to you who have hidden your eternal experience of bliss in the form of Brahmana. So you are a Avaduta, you are already a liberated person, Jivan Mukta, but by your external appearance you have called it. So I'm sorry, I'm offering to you respects, my humble respects. So like that. Karana means the Supreme Lord. This indicates that Bharata has an eternal form for protecting the world. He is formed by its experience of bliss, makes insignificant the arguments of the writers of scriptures. O Avaduta. Basically, since Bharata has already liberated here at this point of time, is already liberated in that sense, he possesses a body like that of the Supreme Lord, Sarupya Mukti, we can say. And since the Lord is responsible for the maintaining the world, protecting the world, having attained Sarupya Mukti, so as a service to Supreme Lord, he also takes the responsibility of maintaining the entire world. So something like that we can think of. So in this verse, basically the offering obeisances to Bharat Maharaj, saying that externally you appears to be normal person, but you are actually a liberated soul. Please accept my obeisances. ज्वरामयार्तस्य यथा गदं सत् निगाददग्धस्य यथा हिमाम्बा कुबेदमाना हि विदस्तदृष्टे ब्रह्मन् वचस्ते मृतमौषधं मे. He further says, O Brahmana, just as correct medicine cures a person suffering from fever, or ice water relieves a person burned by the summer sun, your words are the medicine for me, who has been bitten by the snake of false identity with a despicable body. Your words are nectar to me. I was always worried, thinking about as a king in the practical world, but your words give me nectar. Your words are the correct medicine for a person who has been bitten by the snake of false identity. It's like that. My vision has been bitten seriously by the snake of false identity with a despicable body in which I am living. Oh Brahmana, your words are medicine. An example is given. Your words are the suitable medicine. On the grounds that the example is not always true, medicine does not always cure. Another example is given. If the example of medicine is unsatisfactory, then the words of Bharata are compared to nectar. So somebody may say that okay, medicine does not cure always, even though it may be suitable medicine, but it does not cure the disease. But the next example is that your words are like the nectar. Nectar means nectar makes one immortal. In that way. So he offered his obeisances. There is a similar verse from Mukunda Mala Sutra which says, Idam Shariram Parinama Peshalam Patantavatyam Shatachandi Darjaram Kim Aushadam Pruchasi Muda Durmate Niramayam Krishna Rasayanam Pibha. The body's beauty is fleeting, and at last the body must succumb to death. After its hundreds of joints have suffered with old age, so body has to succumb to death after its hundreds of joints have suffered with the old age. So why, oh bewildered fool, are you asking for medicine? Just take the Krishna elixir, the one cure that never falls. So basically, the body constantly falls victim to fever and other diseases, and we are constantly taking medicine. And he's saying that anyway, in old age, the body falls into so many pains, even though you are trying to cure, but they are inevitable. Instead of looking for this temporary medicine, why don't you look for permanent medicine? What is the permanent medicine? Krishna Rasayanam Pribha, the nectar of Krishna Katha, which cures one for all, something like that, by taking one to spiritual world. So, like that it is mentioned. There is a similar example from 4th canto 7th chapter, text number 35. Siddha Uchu. So this verse is spoken when Lord Narayana comes in the place where Dakshayajna has been restored by Lord Shiva. That one, in that condition. They are offering prayers. Siddhas are offering prayer unto Lord Narayana. The Prema Bhakta said, our minds, like an elephant, burned from forest fire, and they are afflicted by thirst, become absorbed in the sweet, pure river of your pastimes. Do not remember the fire of samsara, and do not come out of that river as if having merged in Brahman. So here the understanding is that the entire world is like the forest fire. The place where Krishna Katha is going is like the water. When the animals which are in the forest fire, unable to tolerate the heat of the forest fire, they immediately go to nearby water body and they submerge their body inside the water. And now their body becomes cool and they don't want to come out of that water because they already had a bad experience of being exposed to fire. So something like that. So the material world is like the forest fire, Krishna Katha or Krishna Bhakti is like the water in the water body, cooling water body. And having submerged in that water, one does not want to come out. So like that. So now third verse. Tasmad bhavantam mama samshayartam Takshami pashad aduna subodham Adhyatma yoga gratitam tavoktam Akyahi kutu halacheta some. He says that I will later tell you my topics about doubt, my topics of doubt. Now please explain what you have said about Adhyatma Yoga, making it easier to understand since I'm inquisitive. So my dear sir, whatever you have spoken is wonderful. Can you simplify it for my understanding? I could not understand everything clearly as it is. So something like that. I will later tell you the topics of doubt. I have some doubts about which I'll tell afterwards. But for now, can you explain your words which are difficult to understand about Adhyatma Yoga so that it becomes easy to understand? I am inquisitive to know about this Adhyatma Yoga. So basically, whatever you have spoken in the previous chapter, can you please simplify and explain again? This is the inquiry. Then he further says, यदाह योगेश्वर दृश्यमानम् क्रियाफलं सव्यवहारमूलम् नैयाञ्जसा तत्त्वविमर्शनाय भवानमुस्मिन् भ्रमते नमो ममो मे. Here it says, O Master of Yoga, Yogeshwara, you have said that the result of action seen in this world are simply based on the convention and cannot be correctly said to be the highest truth. My mind is bewildered by this. So you said that the entire material world, which is practical world, is called conventional world. It has been experienced by the mind under three modes. But for a person who has liberated, this mind has no use. This world has no use. So what do you mean by that? I am bewildered by this. Can you please explain this to me? O Master of Yoga, I said that one becomes tired from work. You replied that though there appears to be actions like carrying the load and results like becoming tired, this is only a conventional appearance and one cannot discern the conventional world as the truth simply by such examples. Since your words are bewildering, my mind has become bewildered by not clearly understanding your intentions. So you told that yes, that does not apply to Atma. When a person is Atma realized, for him carrying the palanquin, going from one place to other place, and getting fatigued by carrying heavy load, all these things have nothing to do with Atma. Atma is completely indifferent from the body and bodily activities. तो आप तो बोल रहे हैं ये सब, but I could not understand it. Can you please help me understand this by explaining it in a simple way? So basically, whatever you explained in the previous chapter, can you please simplify it and tell again? So that is the question. So for which there is the answer in the entire chapter next. Jadabartha establishes the falsity of the material world. So the remaining verses will give the answer. So that we will discuss in the next week. So any questions? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
From the previous, whatever we had done last class,
Quick.
there is,
It's okay. You tell me what is the question.
yeah, just a minute, Prabhuji.
Other devotees have any questions in the meantime?
Prabhuji, this is regarding the 10th chapter, 5th verse, where in the PPT notes it mentions that Ravana is in the Sattva Guna, and that is why Jadbharata explained him all the knowledge of whatever. He didn't explain it to his brothers who were in Rajasic Guna and dacoits who were in Tamasic Guna. But like here this mentions that the distinction between, although the king was very upright and advanced in political science, and it mentions that king was also in the Rajoguna. So means both ways it is mentioned, king is in Sattva-guna also and Rajoguna also. That is I was confused.
So again, go back to Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, section number 41, 42, 43, 44, where the qualities of the four varnas are explained. In the 42nd verse, Brahmanical qualities are mentioned. 43 Kshatriya qualities are mentioned. 44 and 44 only, both Vaishya and Shudra qualities are mentioned. In the notes, it is mentioned that the Brahmanas are prominently in the mode of goodness. The Kshatriyas are prominently both in the mode of goodness and passion. The Vaishyas are prominently in the mode of passion and ignorance. And Shudras are prominently in the mode of ignorance. Goodness plus passion, passion plus ignorance. So like that. So Kshatriyas have both the modes, goodness and passion.
Okay, so that is where Ravana is mentioned both ways. And one more thing, Prabhuji, like the 11th chapter, 2nd verse, but otherwise also we discussed this thing many times, that when the pious credit, means suppose karmis or those who are doing sakam karmi kind of a thing. So when they're, even if they go to higher planets or like that, whenever their the credits diminish or get exhausted, they have to come back. So means this may sound some foolishness, but I didn't understand, like those the karmic credits get exhausted by getting used up. So does that apply to the spiritual credits? Like whatever we are doing, suppose somebody gets elevated to the higher spiritual planet, but does the spiritual credits also get exhausted or gets used up?
Okay, good question. Okay, now, so what do you mean by exhausting?
In simple thing, whatever I have understood till now is like, Prabhuji, like suppose somebody have got some pious credits and वो स्वर्गलोक चला गया, तो वो उतना ही दिन रहेगा जितना उसका जितने उसने पुण्य कर्म किए हैं. Suppose somebody, for example, somebody has done 50.
No, please don't go to all those things. Just simple in our day-to-day dealings. Exhausting means आपका पर्स में 1,000 rupees are there. You are going from office to your home. So for you, you are going from clinic to your home. On the way, you come to fruit market. You purchase some fruits. On the way, you came to vegetable market. You purchase some vegetables. On the way, you came to general stores. You purchase some food grains. And then you took a taxi. You went home. By the time you reach home, how much money left in your purse? 0 rupees. Okay?
Yeah.
You are simply spending. You are not accumulating more money. Are you getting the example?
Yes.
You are only spending but not accumulating money. When you accumulate money, you are on one side you are spending, other side you are accumulating. That means there is always some money in the purse.
Yeah.
So that means when people go to Swarga, they are only enjoying. Enjoying means they are only spending. They are not performing other pious activities or other activities which actually earn their more piety. As long as when they are not doing, their purse very soon becomes empty. But when some devotee goes to spiritual world, does he simply enjoy there? Does he also practice bhakti there?
Yeah, he will go there for doing more seva. So he will be doing service.
If he is doing more seva, he is keep accumulating more money in the purse. So when the purse becomes empty, the moment when the purse becomes empty, one will come back. Simple. Whether it is in the spiritual world or in the heaven.
Oh.
I'm just trying to give simple understanding. Since you asked that question, I'm giving you this. So that means even if one goes to Swarga, but one continues to perform pious activities there, spiritual activities there, one does not come back. Instead, one may stay there or one may go ahead also. But if one simply enjoys there, one spends there, one's accumulated piety, one come back. Once it is over, one has to come back. But on the other hand, the spiritual world, generally when one goes there, they will do more bhakti as you mentioned. So then the purse will never become empty. Then there will be no discussion about coming back. If one does not do bhakti, one does not want to do bhakti in the spiritual world, then one will have to come back.
Yeah, but in that sense, like nobody who does not want to do bhakti will never reach only in a spiritual world. So that question will not arise.
The same thing. That's why people are not going back to God, because they don't want to practice bhakti. They don't want to serve the Lord. So they will remain here only. That is simple. The principle is same everywhere. Whether you are here or there, principle is same. It does not vary.
Okay, so the karmis also who have gone to higher planets, if they keep doing pious activities or the bhakti activities, whatever means as per their intentions, they will not come back.
If they
Means
do pious
because
activities in Swarga, they will remain there only. They will remain in
yeah,
Swarga only.
yeah. But if they do bhakti activities, they may ascend further from Swarga.
Definitely. They'll go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Simple.
Thank you,
Formula is
Prabhuji.
simple. If you
Yeah.
accumulate money, your purse is full. If you spend money, purse becomes empty. Again, you have to go to office to earn more money. Simple.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nicely you explained. Because suddenly today I had this fear that okay, then spiritual credits also may get sometimes exhausted. Then what like? So
Yeah, they will also get exhausted if you don't accumulate.
yeah.
So we need to keep accumulating. That's what we have to do. We need to accumulate. That's why satsang is important. In satsanga, we can earn.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Prabhuji, and one small thing like here we see that previous chapter was Jadbharta instructs King Rahugana. Again, next chapter is Rahugana's conversation with Jadbharta. So that the conversation between the both of them only is going on. Na? Then why the chapters have been divided like that? Chote 16 verses.
I don't know. That I don't know. Why are you asking me? You ask Vyasdev
Okay.
or Vyasdev or some Acharya would. Basically, the theme. There is one theme in the previous chapter. This chapter will present another theme. That's how the chapters have been divided. Theme based.
Yeah. Because in the whole of the means till now, whatever we studied, we never had in Bhagavatam such a small chapters like that. In Bhagavad Gita, we do have 20
No, it is not small chapter. There is a lot of philosophy. One can
yeah,
discuss
yeah,
more
God
and more,
means
more and more.
verse wise, verse
It looks
wise.
small. Number of verses may be small, but okay. Thank you very much. So I think we'll stop here. Thank you very much to all the devotees for joining. All those devotees who have been to Jagannath Puri,